Welcome back to The Prestige, where your gut feelings get benched and the stats do the talking. If you're still trusting the guy at Buffalo Wild Wings yelling, "He's a striker, bro," I got bad news. You got Parlay Parasites. Don't worry, we got the cure. Real numbers, real reads, and the only model that doesn't care how jacked their Instagram is. Let's break down this card and print some money. Right, here we got the perfect picks page. This is last week's success. We got all these picks absolutely perfect. We got Carly Giudice by KO, Atiba Gutierrez by finish, Max Holloway by decision, Jimmy Crute by finish, Ryan Spann by finish, Ferreira and McVeigh ends in round 1, Islam Dulatov by finish, Brandon Allen by decision, Zellhuber and Johnson goes to decision, and we hit the Prestige Parlay, which was the Ferreira, McVeigh, and the Spann and Bresky both under 1.5 rounds. Fight breakdown. Marcus Buchecha versus Martin Buday. The UFC newcomer Marcus Buchecha brings elite grappling credentials into a matchup tailor-made for statement debut. This is a classic specialist versus generalist scenario. Buchecha's world-class submission game faces Buday's plodding, clinch-heavy striking. Buchecha's grappling stats are placeholder level for the model, so that I don't really have a good read on it, but the tape and the resume don't lie. He is one of the most dedicated grapplers ever to enter MMA, with 80% of his wins by submission in the amateur leagues, most of them happening in round 1. Buday's sluggish starts are kind of a pattern. He gets hit more than he lands. He has a negative 0.33 strike differential, and he rarely initiates takedowns at 0.17 of an average 15-minute fight, and he nearly has no submission threat or scramble urgency at all. This fight likely starts slow, but flips quickly. Buday's clinch-first style creates early openings for Buchecha to lock into a body and drag it to the mat. Buchecha's average fight time is under 4 minutes, and he's either drowning you in grappling or fading. With Buday's slow starts, the opening minute could be all he needs. Despite Buday's high grapple resistance score on my sheet, he has not faced top-tier submission threats in the UFC, and he's never been tested like this. This is a fight that hits the mat and doesn't get back up. Buchecha's top pressure, submission chaining, and positional control will expose Buday's reactive grappling. At 33, Buday has a lot of mileage for a heavyweight, and he's coming off of a KO loss. That's a poor setup against a finisher with a one-track mind and no mercy. When Buchecha doesn't win rounds, he finishes. If he wins, it's a submission in rounds 1 or 2, and this matchup screams early tap. So I'm going Buchecha. I'm going round 1 or 2 submission. Fight breakdown for Steven Nguyen versus Muhammad Yahya. This is a striker's delight. Both guys bring heat. Both wear damage, but only one tends to fall apart under pressure and fire. We're looking at a shootout between two aggressive stand-up fighters with leaky defense. But Yaya's chin and composure have been breaking fast lately. Yaya's 38% striking defense is one of the worst on the entire card, and he is absorbing nearly 5 strikes per minute with a brutal negative 2.58 strike differential. That's collapse territory. Nguyen throws 7.15 significant strikes per minute, almost triple Yaya's output. Yaya simply won't be able to match that pace or survive it for very long at all. Nguyen has back-to-back KOs and finishes in 3 of his last 5. And Yaya has been KO'd in round 1 recently, and he shows declining resistance when pressured. Yaya tends to shell up and backpedal when he's overwhelmed, and that's exactly where Nguyen thrives. With 83% of strikes targeting the head, he'll headhunt and try to hit that off switch pretty early. Nguyen's 84% takedown defense keeps us upright on the feet, which favors his power and volume game, and Yaya's sub game is completely nullified with that. Both have high finish rates, 77% for Nguyen and 69% for Yaya, but only one is still delivering consistent damage without crumbling under fire. Nguyen has survived deep wars and bounced back with knockouts, and Yaya's recent KO loss and defensive collapse point to another early exit. Nguyen's finishes come in round 1 and 2, and against somebody absorbing almost 5 per minute with sub 40% defense, this likely does not last very long. I have Steve Nguyen by KO, likely in rounds 1 and 2 also. Fight breakdown. Ibo Aslan versus Billy Elkena. We've got a clear violence matchup here. A KO artist with a 100% finish rate, and Ibo Aslan taking on a hittable and fading Billy Elkena. It's a pure power striker versus a vulnerable grinder scenario, and that is a nightmare matchup recipe for Elkena. Aslan lands nearly 8 strikes a minute with plus 3.41 strike differential and staggering 1.7 knockdowns per 15 minutes. That's one of the highest KO threat rates on the card. Elkena absorbs 5.5 significant strikes per minute and has a brutal 33% striking defense. Against a headhunter like Aslan, who throws 83% of his strikes at the dome, that's a red alert. All 14 of Aslan wins have come by KO, and he's never seen a decision. When he connects, you're either out or you're on your way out. Elkena has a negative 3.16 striking differential and is wildly inefficient in exchanges and never shown any kind of clinch or cage control needed to smother firepower like Aslan's. And Elkena's last loss came by submission, but he's been outlanded in nearly every fight. Against Aslan's pressure and output, one clean shot might be all it takes. While Elkena has decent sub attempts per 15 minutes at 3.51, Aslan's 83% takedown defense and offensive blitz make it unlikely that he hits the mat before somebody hits the floor. KO rate 100% versus 43%. Strike differential plus 3.41 versus minus 3.16. This is a finish mismatch waiting to happen, and Aslan is the one pulling the trigger. Aslan has 4 first-round KOs in his last 5 fights, and if Elkena survives the opening storm, it'd be a miracle. Don't blink in round 1, Ibo Aslan by knockout. Fight breakdown. Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci. This is a high-level grapplers chess match between 2 strong jiu-jitsu stylists. But only one of them has seen real finishing teeth on the mat, and that is Amanda Ribas. Both women are takedown-heavy grapplers, but Ribas has a sharper edge in the submission setups, and Ricci leans more on control and pace. Ribas lands 2.06 takedowns per fight at an 83% accuracy, and with a 3.26 threat rating, her grappling is far more dangerous than Ricci's, despite similar volume. While Ricci wins by decision 64% of the time, Ribas has a 31% submission rate and a clear 1.65 finish conversion score, meaning she turns good positions into real danger. Tabitha may get into positions, but Ricci does more with them. But Ribas does more with them. Ricci's sub-average is just 0.1 in her attacks per 15 minutes. She doesn't have any sub-attacks in the last 5 fights in 15 minutes. Ricci has never been submitted, but this will be the highest level submission artist she's faced in the UFC, and she's given up positions in several of her decisions. Despite both having sky-high takedown accuracy, 83% for Ribas and 81% for Ricci, Ribas actually uses hers to hunt finishes, and Ricci uses hers to kill time. Neither fighter dominates on the feet, but Ribas has a positive striking differential at 1.05, while Ricci is negative at negative 1.11, often absorbing more than she lands. If this fight hits the mat, which it likely will, Ribas is far more likely to threaten and lock something in, and Ricci has never had a UFC. She's only had one UFC finish. And while Ribas has had multiple ways to finish and close the show. Expect Ribas to start slow and feel out Ricci's pressure and then look to snap down and find her back in round 2 or 3. I'm going Amanda Ribas by decision or by submission, but it could very well be a decision, but I think she wins either way. Fight breakdown. Damon Blackshear versus Davy Grant. This is your classic clash of scrambles and swings. Damon Blackshear brings the pressure grappling, while Davy Grant has veteran grit and sneaky finishing ability. Expect movement, scrambles, and momentum shifts. This one's a grappling hunter versus a counter striker stylistic matchup. Blackshear averages 1.6 subs per 15 minutes with a 65% sub win rate, and is coming off back-to-back finishes. His grappling is legit. Grant's 61% takedown defense and 2.35 grappling vulnerability rating means he gives up position more than he should. A red flag against somebody as aggressive on the mat as Blackshear. Blackshear's finishes tend to come fast once he gets to the back, and Grant's defense doesn't hold up well against control-based submission setups. Blackshear just isn't a grappler. He throws over 4.7 significant strikes per minute and has a positive differential while switching stances. Grant has the experience edge, however, 39 years old with wars under his belt, and he's gone the distance in 4 out of the last 5. If Grant can keep it upright and land clean overhands late, he could steal a decision or pull off even a flash KO, but that's a tight window. Blackshear's best path is clearly the sub, but even if it goes to 15 minutes, he has the takedowns and control to bank the rounds. The risk is if Blackshear can't hold position and Grant keeps getting up and swinging, it could be a coin flip on volume and optics. Blackshear's most dangerous moments come mid-fight, so look for a submission threat in round 2 when the fatigue starts to hit. I'm going to go Blackshear by sub. I don't think Davy can hold up for all 3 rounds. I think he's going to break probably in round 2 or 3. Just what I'm thinking. This fight breakdown is for Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. Veteran striker Muslim Salikov takes on the younger, high-volume Carlos Leal, and this one's got some serious tempo contrast. This is a textbook precision versus pace battle. Salikov's a sniper, while Leal just throws and throws and throws. At 41 years old, Salikov's been through it all, and while Leal has the output, he hasn't faced the striker at this technical of a range. Salikov absorbs just 2.9 significant strikes per minute, compared to Leal's 7.73. That's a huge gap in defensive sharpness. Salikov's 67% KO rate versus Leal's 53% striking defense. If the king of Kung Fu can land clean, it's trouble. Leal pressures forward but walks into shots, and Salikov's 49% accuracy means he only needs a few clean ones to change the round. Salikov doesn't force finishes, but if it comes, it's clean. Still, he's totally fine going 15 and banking on a decision too. Leal's not unkillable, and 2 out of his last 5 have gone the distance, but he got tagged hard in the ones that he won also. Neither guy has strong submission setups, and Leal has 0 sub attempts per 15 minutes, so this fight's probably going to stay standing. Salikov's got the edge in strike defense, 62% to 53%, better accuracy, and much less damage absorbed, and that adds up over 3 rounds. The danger for Salikov is if his volume gets too low, Leal throws nearly 10 significant strikes per minute, and that can sway judges if he avoids the KO. If Salikov's times the entries, however, he can hurt Leal bad. If not, it becomes volume versus precision decision. Either way, the bet's got the edge in my opinion. I'm going Muslim Salikov by KO or decision. And that's a pretty big underdog. Are you tired of losing bets because your gut told you that the underdog had heart? Well, guess what? Your gut is dead wrong, and it's not your fault. You're infected. That's right. You've got parlay parasites. They live in your brain, whispering things like, "One more leg won't hurt. He's due for a knockout. Trust me, bro. Lock of the night." But there's hope. Introducing the Prestige Premium Picks. It's $5 a month, sold individually. You get full access to our data-driven, stat-loaded prediction app. And for $5, you get a model-verified props and parlays page loaded every week. So for just $10 a month total, you get zero hype, no bias, no gut, no bullshit picks. It's not for everyone. If you like losing money on vibes and Reddit threads, feel free to keep tailing Drake. But if you're ready to upgrade from maybe he pulls guard to his takedown defense is 43% and he dies after round 1, then it's time to subscribe. I've done the work so you don't have to. Cleanse yourself of your parlay parasites. Join the Prestige Premium Picks today. The first week is on me. You won't regret it. Fight breakdown for Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. It's an interesting matchup here. Bryce Mitchell is making his bantamweight debut, and Said Nurmagomedov is no easy welcome committee. This is a classic grappler versus dynamic striker, and Mitchell wants this on the mat fast, while Said prefers to stay loose and long on the feet. Bryce dropping to 135 pounds adds a wrinkle. He was already a pressure-heavy wrestler at featherweight. If his cardio holds, the takedown chains could be relentless. Mitchell averages 3.27 takedowns per 15 minutes and 1.3 subs per fight. Elite grappling pressure with a finish. Funnel. Mitchell has a 53% submission win rate, and Said has tapped in 2 of his last 4 UFC fights. Said's grapple vulnerability sits at 2.6 and his grapple resistant is just 74. Not built to handle extended mat pressure. This is one of those matchups where the fight ends by sub has real juice. Both men average over 1 sub per 15 minutes and Said's been caught before. Mitchell doesn't just chase the sub, he can grind rounds out too. 40% of his wins come by decision. So double chance plays are in the cards here. Said's got 6 scrambles, but he only lands 1 takedown per 15 minutes. So this is Bryce's world if he drags him down. Bryce absorbs just 1.64 significant strikes per minute, which means he's not getting clipped often. He does slow things down and drowns guys sometimes. Mitchell has 2 submission losses himself, but Said's only real sub setups come from chaos. Bryce forces methodical sequences, could be a slow burn to a round 2 choke. Bryce lands at 59% accuracy, surprisingly sharp for a guy known for his grappling, and that helps him close the distance. If Said can keep his standing and pump the kicks, he could steal rounds, but his 56% strike defense means Mitchell can get through. Said tends to give his back in scrambles, and that's a death sentence against Mitchell with his top squeeze. If this comes down to mat time and Bryce drags it there early, it's his world. If not, Said can make it awkward, but over 3 rounds, I get Mitchell's pace, and I think he just might break him. I'm going Mitchell by decision or submission, and I believe he is another underdog for you. Let me know in the comments what you think. Moving on. Fight breakdown for Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. We've got 2 wild finishers here. Krylov's hunting subs, but Guskov is a straight up killer on the feet, and he's riding a 3-fight KO streak. This is a classic chaos at light heavyweight. Guskov brings clean stand-up with crushing power, while Krylov's a well-rounded grappler with a sub-heavy attack. The KO percent tells the story. Guskov wins 82% of his fights by KO, and Krylov has already been KO'd round 1 just 2 fights ago. Krylov's 53% sub-win rate versus Guskov's 82% KO rate. Whoever enforces their game likely finishes it. Krylov's chin is a question mark. 2 of the last 5 ended in KO or sub-loss in round 1. Guskov's striking volume and body work, 43% body strikes, could overwhelm fast. Both guys average over 1 sub attempt per fight, but Guskov's hasn't been out-grappled often. He's holding a 3.8 grappling aggression and an identical finish potential, 3.8, and he can flip scrambles into finishes. Guskov lands at 55% striking accuracy to Krylov's 44% striking defense, and that's a nasty mismatch in the pocket. Neither man is known for grinding out decisions. Guskov's last 4 wins all ended inside 2 rounds, and Krylov's fight time is just average of 6.41 minutes. Krylov averages 2.24 takedowns and 1.3 subs per 15 minutes, so if he can survive early, his grappling depth might be where he'll steal it. This fight will come down to whether Guskov can land clean before getting wrapped up. He's dangerous but untested in long ground wars. And Guskov's 43% body targeting is a unique wrinkle that drains guys who push grappling early, that could zap Krylov's gas tank by round 2. Both men have multiple round 1 finishes, and if Guskov connects first, Krylov might not get the chance to even start grappling. Krylov's got the deeper resume in this, but his fights often don't go the distance, and Guskov's raw power levels that out. High finish, low defense matchups like this often end early, and this is one of those don't blink fights. Both fighters show grappling vulnerability near 3+, meaning whoever gets put on the back foot first could get drowned. I got Bogdan Guskov by finish. I think he'll KO him in round 1 or 2. Yeah, a full fight breakdown for Asu Almabayov versus Jose Ochoa. I feel like I'm breaking down Jose Ochoa every other week right now. He's stepping in with a real heat behind his hands, and he's riding a streak of violent finishes, facing off against submission-heavy grinder Asu Almabayev. This is a striker versus grappler matchup to the core. Ochoa is all knockouts, while Asu is looking to chain takedowns and control. The grappling vulnerability is shocking. Asu has a 24 grapple resistance score and absorbs over 5 takedown attempts per 15 minutes. I'm guessing a lot of those are switches or just scrambles. And against a finisher like Ochoa, one mistake on the feet could be his last. Ochoa's win rate is 88% by knockout. He's never won a decision and likely won't. He either starches you early or fades. Luckily, Almabayev has already been KO'd in round 3 recently. Ochoa's 36% leg kick rate is huge amongst a squat wrestler like Almabayev. If he chews those legs up, the takedown entries collapse fast. Asu usually has the control, but if he can't keep Ochoa down, those failed shots will wear him out over time, and Ochoa's finishing instincts will just take over. Ochoa's just 24 years old, with clear upward curve, and Almabayev's been through the grind and just suffered a KO. That timing could matter. Ochoa's knockdown rate is 0.74 per fight, and almost 1-to-1 strike differential shows he's precise and dangerous. Almabayev doesn't eat many shots per minute, but when he does, they count. If this turns into a wrestling match, Ochoa's 0 takedown average and no defensive scrambling could spell disaster for him. Asu averages 4.1 takedowns per 15 minutes and 1.38 sub attempts. If Asu gets past round 2, the decision edge flips hard, and he's gone to decision more often, and Ochoa hasn't shown late fight scoring volume and has never won a decision or even made it to it. I think he made a lost one, actually. Almabayev has a higher average fight time and better control mechanics. If Ochoa doesn't clip him early, he might slip away round by round. Ochoa does throw more volume on the feet and does land cleaner, but Almabayev's entire game is to nullify that with smothering. Ochoa's striking accuracy is only 34%, but his timing and power make up for it. He doesn't need volume, just the opening. Asu has high grappling aggression, but low finish conversion, 3.14 for his attempts. If Ochoa survives early, the volume might not be enough to hold him down. If Almabayev shoots sloppy or gets predictable, Ochoa's head kick or uppercut timing is real, and the chin has already been cracked. I got Ochoa by KO in rounds 1 or 2. Full fight breakdown: Shara Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. We got a sneaky banger here. Shara Magomedov is a flashy striker with highlight finishes, and he takes on Marc-Andre Barriault, who's quietly racked up wins with grit and pressure. It's a pure striker versus pressure grappler style clash. Shara is dangerous at range, but Barriault's best when he closes the distance and breaks guys down over time. Shara's striking accuracy is an elite 62%, but his defense is only 42%. And that's a problem against somebody like Barriault, who throws over 6 significant strikes per minute. Grappling threat is a major red flag. Shara has a 0 takedown average, which means he's never taken anyone down, and offers 0 submission threat. Barriault may not be a wrestler, but Shara's 1.34 vulnerability score means that anyone can get him down. Barriault's path is ugly but clear. Pressure, clinch, control, and maybe even a late sub. He's gotta get higher sub attempt rate and Shara's never shown any ground game resistance. Barriault's 4-1 in his last 5 with 3 finishes, while Shara is coming off a close decision loss where he faded late, and that was against a lesser grinder than Barriault. Shara absorbs 4.13 strikes per minute, while Barriault eats over 5.5. This one's going to come down to who lands cleanly and who fades first. If it hits the scorecards, Barriault has a better resume and work rate. He's used to close decisions and wins with a lot of volume and control. Shara's never been subbed or KO'd, but his output tends to stall in grappling heavy fights. If Barriault puts him on his back, he's in trouble. Shara still has that KO upside. 80% of his wins come from knockouts, and if he finds the range early, Barriault's been finished before, and it's always live. Shara targets the legs and body better. 31% body and 26% leg strikes, which slows down guys like Barriault who rely on cage cutting. If those kicks land, it changes the cardio math. Barriault fights at a higher pace and averages shorter fight times, but Shara has shown he can go to 3 hard rounds. This might be closer than people think. Barriault's sub stats don't jump off the page, but against a guy with 0 sub defense metrics, it's only going to take 1 scramble to maybe seal the fight for him. His ground strike percentage is also higher, and his clinch control is a factor, so frustrate Shara if he can't separate and snipe. If Shara finds the chin, it's lights out, however. His timing is sick, and Barriault's defense is middle tier. But it has to come early before the clinch game wears him out. I got Marc-Andre Barriault by sub or decision. I think it's around 3 sub or a decision for Marc-Andre. I just think Shara's overrated, and he's at the tier of fighters now that he's going to start losing more than he wins. Got a fight breakdown for Petr Yan and Marcus McGee. Got a banger in the bantamweight division. Petr Yan coming off a razor-close decision loss, and Marcus McGee, who's been ripping through opponents with violent finishes. This is a striker versus power striker matchup. Yan brings volume and pressure, while McGee's a sniper with serious knockout intent. The striking differential is eye-popping. Yan is actually getting hit more than he lands lately, with a negative 0.95 strike differential, while McGee is plus 1.3 per minute and only absorbing 2.8 per round. Per minute per round. Don't overlook durability. McGee's never been finished, although last fight it was very close with the leg kicks, and Yan's trending towards being hittable later in fights now. McGee's won 80% of his fights by knockout, and Yan's taken damage in 3 out of his last 4. That is a red flag versus somebody with a 1 point... Sorry. It's a red flag with somebody with a 1.37 knockdown rate. Yan's used to 5-round wars. He has a 17-plus minute average fight time. But McGee does his best work in fast-paced 3-rounders, so he's used to this, and this one won't drag out. McGee keeps 90% of his striking on the feet with 100% takedown defense, and it's going to be hard for Yan to mix in wrestling and break that rhythm. Yan throws more, but McGee lands harder, and it's going to be more about just damage. It's going to be about the damage, not the numbers on the judges' cards if it goes the distance. McGee's 5-0 in his last 5 with 4 finishes, and Yan's 2-3, all decisions, and struggling to get separated in close fights. McGee's 1.37 knockdown rate is elite for bantamweight, and it only takes 1 minute to change the round. Yan averages 1.6 takedowns per fight, but McGee's 100% takedown defense and perfect ground to strike should neutralize that route. Yan has gone 5 straight decisions, but he's been caught clean more than once in those. McGee's precision makes that risky. McGee's more than just a brawler. He'll wait for the moments, and capitalize. And Yan likes to wait pretty much the whole first round and then capitalize, so it'll be an interesting fight. I lean towards McGee. So sorry. And I just think he's going to take that first round, and it's going to be hard to get rounds back on a fighter like McGee for Yan, because he's going to be high volume unless he takes those legs out. And then Piotr Yan has a real chance. But I think this goes to decision anyway. Yan's really hard to fight, or to finish. So McGee, my decision. Alright, last but not least, we got the breakdown for Robert Whittaker and Reinier de Ridder. Got a danger-packed clash here. Robert Whittaker, coming off a brutal submission loss, takes on Reinier de Ridder, a finisher with 90% of his wins coming inside the distance. It's a pressure grappler versus a technical striker. De Ridder brings size, squeeze, and serious finishing instinct, while Whittaker relies on footwork and sharp counters. 65% of de Ridder's wins are by submission, and he doesn't play the long game. If he gets top position, it could be a quick cap. De Ridder's rocking a 10-centimeter height and a 5-inch reach advantage. That's not nothing when you're talking clinch leverage and ground control. Whittaker's been stopped twice in his last 4, including a round 1 submission, and that's not the trend you want against the guy who dives on necks. De Ridder lands 4.7 takedowns per 15 minutes and immediately hunts for the finishes when he's on the ground. He's not stalling. With a 6.1 grappling aggression score and 7.4 grappling threat score, De Ridder overwhelms most opponents the moment it hits the mat. Whittaker has a solid 81% takedown defense, but once it's grounded, his sub averages 0, and he doesn't scramble well under pressure. De Ridder has 4 finishes in round 1 or 2 of his last 5, and his best work happens right before the fight settles. Whittaker averages over 13 minutes a fight, and De Ridder finishes in half of that. This is a sprint, not a marathon. De Ridder's fighting like a man on a mission, and Whittaker's recent showings have been more about been more cautious and vulnerable about being safe. People sleep on De Ridder's striking, but his 1.36 knockdown rate is almost triple Whittaker's. If he connects, it's not just subs we need to worry about here. With a 90% career finish rate and a 5.49 finish conversion score, De Ridder only needs 1 mistake to close the show. If De Ridder gets the takedown in round 1, that's his highest conversion zone. Whittaker needs to survive the first 5 minutes. I got Reinier de Ridder by finish, and I don't even think it's going to be a close fight. I think it's going to be the first 2 rounds. Unfortunately, I appreciate and love and respect Robert Whittaker, but I just think his style hasn't evolved fast enough to stick with everyone else. That's about as much as I can say about that, because I'm not him. So that'll sum up all the fights, and now to the bets. All right, and here we go for the bets this week. We're going to do things a little bit different. We're going to cut the bets down. We have a little bit more on the website, though. So if you wanted to go subscribe, you can see all of my prop bets that I suggest. Not the ones I made necessarily, but the ones I suggest. And the parlays that I suggest. Based on the props and based on the model and the statistics. So we are going to the Prestige Parlay, which I hit last week. We are going with Renier de Ritter and Jose Ochoa. Just straight up. No props, no nothing. Just boom, boom. And I think that's plus 300 and something like that. Let me look right now. That is plus. It's plus 372. So that's really good odds just for a double parlay. And then the retirement bet is the Ritter finish and Ochoa KO. We're just going to kind of double down on those two this week. We are still at 72%, and we are 45, 16, and 1 over the last. I think that's 4 cards. Might be 5 now. I think I've updated it though, so I'll have to look at the last slide or the last week's and see. I'll update it if I need to though. All right, well, like and subscribe, and thank you for follows. Keep following, keep supporting. Go visit the website, check it out. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let's see you at the cash counter.